All right, welcome to a volume video, and I'm going to try to be as quick as possible. So this is not a new standard for you. You know that in order to figure out volume, which is what takes up the inside of our three-dimensional shape. So if I was to fill this with, let's say, a liquid, what would be the amount of liquid I could fill on the inside of this three-dimensional shape? And in order to do that, we're going to multiply the length times the width times the height. Okay, so the first one I kept it pretty basic. Our length is 4, our width is 5, and our height is 10. So then I would just multiply those. So I have 4 times 5 times 10, which gets me 4 times 5 is 20. 20 times 10 is 200 meters, and then squared, which I'm not sure I can do with, I might be able to write with the pen. 2. All right. So pretty easy, right? That's what you think. Just kidding. Yeah, it's easy. So now let's take a look at it. They're going to put in some decimals. So again, we're going to look for our length, which it looks here we've got 3.7, and our width, which is 4.1, and our height, oh, I love the tens, is 10. So we're going to multiply those. So we have 3.7 times 4.1 times 10. And I'm going to try to shortcut because that's what I think. This 10 right here, when you multiply 10 by a decimal, we know that it makes it grow bigger. And decimal comes from the word deci, which means 10. So if I make, let's just use 4.1 because it's right here, and I make it bigger, then I know that I'm going to move this decimal one place value, one deci bigger. So then when I go to multiply, all I have to do is multiply 3.7 times 41. And I took that 10 out and I actually got rid of one of those decimals. Okay. I grabbed the wrong computer, so I don't have the pen that I usually use. So bear with me. So 7 times 1, 3 times 1, and then we're done with this, right? So that means you need to put a placeholder. So many of you forget that little step. 4 times 7, 28, carry the 2. 4 times 3 is 12, plus 2 is 14, and then I add. So what will get some of you this week is just that decimal placement. Remember, I'm not touching this decimal all until I'm done. I'm not bringing it down because this is not adding or subtracting. 3 plus 8, 8, 9, 10, 11. Carry the 1. I get a 5 and a 1. Now I'm going to put my decimal in. And I see there's no decimals on the 41, just one number behind the decimal. So then I get, can you see my dot? I get 100 and 151 and 7/10. Okay. So I just, because there was a 10 in there, I could do it much quickly. I mean, you could much quicker, sorry. You could multiply the 3 and 7/10 and the 4 and 1/10 and then the 10 and by moving that decimal. So just a quick little shortcut. All right. So what about if we have to find the volume for fractions? Couple different options. I'm going to show you a few ways. Okay. Let's start with what our length is. So our length is 1.5, and our width is 1.5, and then our height, lucky us, is 1.5. Okay. So I know that many of you could tell me what that is in decimals. So we could take our fractions and turn them into decimals. So what would that 1.5 look like if it were in decimal form? We have 1 whole, and then we have 5/10. 5/10 is equivalent. Well, guess what? That works for all of them, right? They're all 1.5s. They're all can be the decimal of 1.5. Okay. So let me ask you something. Can I just take 1.5 and multiply it by 3? No, I can't, can I? I've got to actually multiply these out, which is a lot of work. So if we put 1.5, we got to multiply it times another 1.5. No 10s in this baby. So we're going to go ahead and multiply. And then whatever my answer is, I have one more 1.5 to multiply it by. So 5 times 5 is 25. Carry the 2. We have 5 times 1 plus 2 is 7. Okay, I'm done with that top. Notice I'm not touching those decimals. Done with that 5. Put that placeholder in. 5 times 1. This was from earlier, so I'm going to cross that out. I have 5 times 1, and then 1 times 1. And then I add. Whatever my answer is, I've got to then multiply it by 1.5. This is a 12. I'm running out of room. So I have 2. How many numbers behind the decimal here? 2. So it's got to go here. And then now I need to multiply this by 1.5. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of erase this so I have some space. Okay. Hopefully that gives me more room. I wrote way too big. Okay. So I have 2 decimal point 25 times 1.5. Okay, so we have 5 times 5, 25. Carry the 2. 2 times 5 is 10. Plus 2 is 12. Carry the 1. 2 times 5 is 10. Plus 1, 11. Not looking at my decimal yet. I'm done with this 5. So you got to put that placeholder in. 5 times 1, 5. 2 times 1, 2. 2 times 1, 2. And now I can add and put my decimal in. I'm going to write my answer over here. So I have 5. 2 plus 5, 7. 1 plus 1, 3. 1 plus 1, 3. Now, how many numbers behind the decimal? Look, I have 1 here and 2 here. So if I were to circle them, I see I have 3. So 1, 2, 3. So there's my answer. If I multiply those by changing them into decimals, I get 3 and 375 thousandths. Okay, so another option is to leave it in fraction form. Now, obviously, you know you cannot multiply 1.5 times 1.5 times 1.5. You can't because that whole number is in the way. Okay, so when it looks like this times 1.5, we have to change them into, drum roll please. Yes, impropers. Please tell me you haven't forgot this stuff. Okay, so in order to do that, we say 2 times 1 is 2 plus 1 is 3. So we would go 3 halves. And if 1 is 3 halves, then they all are. And then hopefully you remember when multiplying fractions, all we do is multiply straight across. Okay, sorry, I'm intruding. So we just multiply straight across. So we have 3 times 3 times 3. And we have 2 times 2 times 2. Remember, we got to go from one to the next. So 3 times 3 is 9. 9 times 3 is 27. Okay. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. Boy, I really hope this turns out because... All right. And then what's wrong with 27 eighths? It's improper. See if I have room to divide. So how many eighths are in 27? Okay, well, doesn't go, obviously. So 8 goes into 27. The closest is 3. And I get a 24. And remember, there are no remainders in 6th grade. So I'm going to subtract and I get a 3. And what should I do? Yeah, I need to place a decimal and add a 0. And remember, I can add as many zeros as I want. Okay, and how many 8s can go into 30? 3 again. Is it looking familiar yet? And I get 24. I've run out of room. And I subtract. I'm going to have to borrow. I get a 6. I'm going to bring it over here. Sorry, kiddos. Again, I can't have a remainder. I'm going to add another 0. So I get 60. Well, how many 8s can go into 60? 7, which is 56, which again, I'm going to have to borrow because I can't take 6 from 0. I know my time is running short. So I get 10 minus 6, which is 4. Again, I can't have a remainder. I got to add another 0. Is this confusing you because I'm over here on the side? But yay, it can go into 40 5 times. So there it is. They're the same answer. So you can either change them into an improper and multiply straight across, or you can change them into a decimal and multiply. I don't know. I kind of like the fractions better, but that's it. Okay. Just an idea. Again, so if we looked at this one, we could either write them as a decimal or we can write them as a fraction. Okay, I'm going to stop here and I'm going to review some in class. I just wanted you to see what it looks like to multiply either a fraction or a decimal. And so, as we know, fractions and decimals are interchangeable. They're the same. Okay, so if you want to change your decimals into a fraction, this is 3 7/10, 4 1/10, and then 10, or you can multiply them as a decimal. Same with this one. You can leave it as a fraction. You just got to remember those rules when multiplying a whole number, a mixed number, excuse me, that you have to change it to improper and then multiply. Okay, and then you're going to, of course, result in an improper, which then you have to divide. So, or you can multiply 1.5 times 1.5, then your answer, you're going to multiply again 1.5. Okay, definitely a lot of work this week. So hopefully you got your work hat on and you're ready to do some serious math. Okay, that's it for today. And keep it under 20. All right, see you, kiddos. Bye.